And good morning, everybody. Back to the Former Farm Kid channel. We're back in the sweet corn field, and I had the oddest thing happen last night. So, give you a little background information. I generally protect the sweet corn field with what's called a two-dimensional fence. So there are two low lines on the inside run around the field, and then on the outside of that another midline, so it gives it two dimension. And it really isn't a physical barrier, it's more of a psychological barrier for deer and deer only. Well, so I'm next to some woods over here. There are no deer in here. My deer are channeled in by the road over here from these woods. They come down this path. They feel very protected. There's tall corn to the left, tall corn to the right. These woods over here they come from as well, and there's a path along that side of the field too that channels them over to me. So I purposely do not cut the weeds around the field. Deer historically take the path of least resistance. They do not like going through wet stuff like we do, which is not a big deal to them, but what they really don't like is getting into weeds over their head, where they can get lost and potentially have to wander for hours before they can get out. So they choose the path of least resistance. So I put a path along this side of the field, and you can see the path that I have here. So I can channel them into the field when they do come out. Well, the fence is somewhat of a disadvantage to me because, I'm sorry about the traffic, we'll be moving away here shortly, but the fence is expensive. It takes a lot of time to build, and it's an impediment to access to the field. So you're constantly having to go through 3 wires to access your whole field, which means you pretty much need a gate. I've got to move this end open for the whole width when I bring the equipment in to cultivate. This is organic sweet corn, which is, by the way, pretty hard to find anymore. So because this field has natural access to it in the front, in the back here, they don't come in. There's nowhere for them to live back here. And I know for a fact there aren't any in these woods right here. These woods are only an acre large. I walk through it occasionally just to make sure they aren't overnighting there, and they're not. Plus there is a residence just on the other side of this, and they will not live, at least out here in the country, they will not live next to people. So what I have done in lieu of a two-dimensional fence is put up trip noise alarms for them, that when they walk through them, it will set off a bit of a noise. So you can see here the string. It goes to a turning point here in the stake, and then it goes over to this pole right here. So you can see the line along here. I also have one set up over on this side where there's a path. And that string goes to basically a homemade noise alarm, basically. That's all it is, something I came up with, no big deal. It is a piece of tin anchored by a 4x4 so it can't blow away. And this string runs through a couple loops up through there to a trigger right here. And all that does, when the string is pulled, it pulls the trigger, and there are 3 rocks inside there that just fall onto the tin. And I'm going to purposely set it off so you can see what it sounds like. I'll wait for the cars to go by so that you can hear it. So here's my string. The deer walks through, catches it on its leg, keeps walking. It's not a tremendously loud noise, but it sort of sounds like a gunshot, which is what scared the deer. So last night, I came in this morning and this string was on the ground. Normally when deer catch it or walk through it, they take off like a shot when the alarm goes off, and they usually drag the string with it, which kind of points in the direction that they ran. Well, deer, when they get spooked, they pretty much run in one direction. So, in lieu of my two-dimensional fence for deer, I now have set up a low-level fence for raccoons. And that is powered up by a solar charger. Not terribly strong, but it has been effective for the most part of keeping the raccoons out. So here's what happened. But I still am not sure I have the correct explanation to. The deer ran through this path here to try to get away, and they evidently cut through the field right here. It may be hard to pick up, but here's the beginning of the raccoon fence. And now, as we see, that top line is all the way up here. So somehow, when they went through the fence, they caught the top line with their foot, and they evidently, and this is my theory, you can see where this connector here is. It should be all the way down here. These slide, and I've got the power turned off here. These can slide up and down. That's why I like this kind of pole. It gives you an infinite amount of settings. So I think what happened is, as the deer jumped through here, and of course the fence was way down here, they caught their foot on it, bent this pole as they ran with them, caught on their foot, and they dragged this line with a pole bent over and pulled this one from here all the way up to here. I've never seen them do that. And the fence was turned on, so not only did they get a little surprise with the noise alarm, but they got a little tickle with the fence. And I don't see a tiny bit of damage there. I'm going to have to do a line check on this to make sure I still have continuity. But the good thing about these poles is you can bend the living daylights out of these, and it's like a fishing pole. They spring back. So I like it for that reason. And they're very very easy to push in actually. But these variable settings is really handy. And in this case, it really came in handy. So this field right here has been picked, so I can't really trace their path through here, and the ground is now dry, so I can't see their footsteps either. But if they were running in this direction, it means they were either heading for the corner or they're heading for the woods. It's hard to say. I can kind of see a path through here. I don't know if the camera can pick it up or not. And that's probably where they ran through. Could have been just one, could have been two, who knows. Usually they travel in pairs, but not always. So, in essence, again, this is a raccoon fence, not a deer fence. The noise alarms have worked, the homemade noise alarms have worked very well. So again, I've got one set up back over here, and then another one over here. And the nice thing, the good thing about deer is they remember. And basically, throughout this whole growing season, I've had the deer alarm. That's the third time it's gone off. So I've had one go off twice up here, and one time over here, and it was after a rainstorm, so I could see their footprints coming all the way along this path here and exiting up here. So this season, because of those noise alarms, and I did have the deer fence up to start with, but I've taken it down because the noise alarms have been so successful, so I don't have to mess with going through a fence every time. Have been so successful. So, you know, if you have somewhat limited access to your field, even if there weren't woods here, or maybe access here or whatever, 4 noise alarms on this field would probably do it. And boy, I tell you what, doesn't take much to spook them, and those rocks falling on the metal sound a little bit like gunshots. So there's something you might want to think about. All right, thanks guys, thanks for watching. God bless. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you next time.